As I've mentioned in previous videos, the fear you get from a movie can come from several sources. It can come from a fear of nature, from sexual violation, or religious superstitions. But what I would like to investigate in this video is one particular fear that has been exploited in several classic films. The fear that man's scientific breakthroughs would one day lead to our self-destruction.
It will be published, I think.
Then, darling, you will have much to answer for.
The publishers did not see that my purpose was to write a moral lesson. The punishment that befell a mortal man who dared to emulate God.
Arguably the first science fiction story to be published, Mary Shelley's opinion that science would one day lead to our annihilation instead of our salvation has been reused in the sci-fi genre countless times. The main character, Dr. Frankenstein, is so obsessed with bringing the dead back to life that he doesn't even think about the consequences if he succeeds.
Have you never wanted to do anything that was dangerous? Where should we be if nobody tried to find out what lies beyond? You never wanted to look beyond the clouds and the stars, or to know what causes the trees to bud, and what changes the darkness into light? But if you talk like that, people call you crazy. Well, if I could discover just one of these things, what eternity is, for example, I wouldn't care if they did think I was crazy.
After trying to keep his creation a secret, it escapes his laboratory, terrorizing the village and killing a farmer's daughter. At the end of the film, the villagers are forced to destroy the monster before it can do any more damage. Frankenstein was way ahead of its time in warning that scientific progress does not indicate human progress. Humanity will always remain the same violent creature, no matter what new breakthrough or invention is discovered. It may surprise you to know that the original Godzilla is far from a B-level monster movie. Inspired by the bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki and the deaths of the Lucky Dragon fishing crew, Godzilla became a protest film against the use of atomic and hydrogen weapons. In the film, it is explained that the Godzilla monster was a deep-sea creature brought up to the surface due to repeated H-bomb tests in the Pacific. Since humans were responsible for bringing up Godzilla, his attack on Japan can be justified as an act of self-defense. The film tries to be tragically ironic by showing how nuclear technology ended up creating a monster instead of creating peace and security. After making his own nuclear protest film, Dr. Strangelove, Stanley Kubrick turned his attention to the future of artificial intelligence. In 2001: A Space Odyssey, the HAL 9000 computer is designed to function like a human brain so it can communicate with the astronaut crew.
The sixth member of the Discovery crew was not concerned about the problems of hibernation, for he was the latest result in machine intelligence, the HAL 9000 computer, which can reproduce, though some experts still prefer to use the word mimic, most of the activities of the human brain, and with incalculably greater speed and reliability. We next spoke with
The consequence of doing this is that Hal becomes emotional and paranoid like a human. He discovers the concept of self-preservation when Dave and Frank talk about disconnecting him, and in self-defense kills the crew. 2001 would be the first sci-fi film to use the fear of technology becoming self-aware, but it wouldn't be the most famous. James Cameron has said that 2001: A Space Odyssey was the one film that made him want to become a director. So it is not surprising that he would expand on the fear of artificial intelligence in his work. The brilliance of the Terminator character is that it's a physical embodiment of the fears of nuclear war and artificial intelligence. A mass-produced cyborg who sees humans as a threat to its existence and will kill anyone who stands in the way of completing its mission. But to Cameron, the real enemy was not Skynet or the Terminators, but the humans that invented them. In the far superior sequel, Sarah Connor behaves just like a Terminator when she tries to kill Bennett Dyson at his home. She is trying to prevent the future Judgment Day by killing one person in the past, just like the Terminator from the first film.
Shut up! It's all your fault! Motherfucker, it's all your fault! What? I'm not gonna let you do it.
I always wondered what made her fall apart in this scene, and I think it was a realization that there is no difference between man and the machines. Jurassic Park is very similar to Frankenstein in the way it brings what was once dead back to life and having the monsters turn on their creators. But what makes it different is that it was one of the first science fiction movies to explore genetics. In the film, the Ian Malcolm character is the harshest critic of the park and of what John Hammond is trying to do.
Yeah, don't you see the danger, John, inherent in what you're doing here? Genetic power is the most awesome force the planet's ever seen, but you wield it like a kid that's found his dad's gun.
It's hardly appropriate to start hurling generalizations.
If I may, I'll tell you the problem with the scientific power that you're using here. It didn't require any discipline to attain it. You know, you read what others had done, and you took the next step. You didn't earn the knowledge for yourselves, so you don't take any responsibility for it. You stood on the shoulders of geniuses to accomplish something as fast as you could, and before you even knew what you had, you patented it and packaged it and slapped it on a plastic lunchbox, and now you're selling it. You want to sell it. Well,
I don't think you're giving us our due credit. Our scientists have done things which nobody's ever done before.
Yeah, but your scientists were so preoccupied with whether or not they could, they didn't stop to think if they should.
The old concern of what could happen if science gets into the wrong hands is reinforced by Steven Spielberg when, right as the park is shutting down, he shows a picture of Robert Oppenheimer, the inventor of the atomic bomb.
Access main program. Access main security.
The final film that I would like to look at in this video is The Matrix.
United in celebration, we marveled at our own magnificence as we gave birth to AI.
AI? You mean artificial intelligence?
A singular consciousness that spawned an entire race of machines. We don't know who struck first, us or them, but we know that it was us that scorched the sky. At the time, they were dependent on solar power, and it was believed that they would be unable to survive without an energy source as abundant as the sun. Throughout human history, we have been dependent on machines to survive. Fate, it seems, is not without a sense of irony.
Now, the most obvious fear that the Matrix capitalizes on is the fear of artificial intelligence turning on its creator, but what makes it different is the technology that they explore. The Matrix as an allegory for the internet is very clear when you watch it today. You have characters plugging into a computer, living out fantasies, consuming information, and perhaps even pornography.
The woman in the red dress. I designed her. Well, she doesn't talk very much, but if you'd like to meet her, I can arrange a much more personalized meal.
The digital pimp hard at work.
The other life is lived in computers.
And the film feels even more relevant today because of the new concepts of cyber terrorism and hacktivism, where small bands of hackers battle with federal agents in order to obtain government secrets. The ultimate irony is that the original internet was a Pentagon-funded project called the ARPANET, so in effect the government's creation has broken free and is now being used against them. Thanks for watching.